All right.
I see you there.
All right, Shalom Israel. Welcome back to Wednesday night class. Good to see everybody in class, also online. Hope everything is well with your households and your families, your camps, brothers and sisters. Shout out and shalom to Kawakab down in Guatemala and his congregation. Shout out to Quadzop in Houston, Kazaki in Norfolk, Virginia, and Zion in Rochester, New York. Shout out and shalom to all the brothers in California, Florida, Detroit, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Shalom to you and your families as well. And Salaki for the late start. Let's go ahead and this is a continuation of last Wednesday. Just on a quick recap. Let me go ahead and squeeze this in because I don't want to recap too much because we want to move forward. But let's go to 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 5, and then we'll just kind of pick up right where we left off last week.
First Kings chapter 2 and verse 5. Moreover, thou knowest also that Joab the son of Zeruiah did to me.
All right, so does anybody remember what Joab did to David?
Sure do.
Khan.
Anybody just want to break that down real quick?
Khan. He killed David's son.
Which one?
Absalom with the long hair.
All right. And that's after David asked him to do what?
Be gentle. To be gentle with him, to not kill him.
All right.
Then he shamed him and then threatened him if he didn't get up and get out of his mourning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was after the fact when he was crying and weeping. David was crying and weeping over his son after the news.
He said he was embarrassing.
Yeah.
All right. There was quite a few things that was wrong with Joab.
No simple.
And that's one of the things that we talked about last week. This 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 4 and 5. Real quick. Somebody read that.
2 Samuel?
Mm-hmm. Shalom, family. Shalom, Israel Online. Shalom, everybody.
What verse in chapter 19?
2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 4 and 5.
Come. 2 Samuel chapter 19 and verse 4 reads, But the king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, O my son Absalom, O Absalom, my son, my son. And Joab came into the house to the king and said, Thou shame this day the faces of all thy servants.
He said, you do what?
Thou hast shamed this day.
You're embarrassing us. You're an embarrassment to us. So you look at some of the speech and the type of speech that Joab is having with his king. I mean, he's kind of checking him for being soft, but you're the guy that had actually put this man's son to death. But yet, and still, you give this man, you don't weep with this man whatsoever in his sadness. You don't feel what this man is feeling and what he's going through. You don't care to. It just shows you how insensitive and how calloused of a personality that Joab has. Right? So, verse 5.
Come. 2 Samuel chapter 19 and verse 5 reads, And Joab came into the house to the king and said, Thou hast shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, which this day have saved thy life.
He said, we did all the work. We saved your life. We did all this work just for you to sit here and cry on the floor. No sympathy, no empathy whatsoever. Does anybody remember the definition of empathy?
Being able to, pull it. You want the paraphrase or you want the actual?
Whoever got it, if you wrote it down from last week, if you have it.
I just wrote define it.
Got it?
Empathy is the ability to feel the pain of another individual.
Right. So you be able to you can witness that somebody's going through something. If you pay attention good enough, you can see that somebody's struggling with something. You can see that somebody's suffering in some type of way, no matter what it is, and you can relate to their pain. You can associate and align yourself with their struggle. And a lot of people can't do that because what we found out about Joab last week is that he was extremely self-centered. It was narcissistic. It was self-centered, so he couldn't really feel what other people feel. What you got?
Empathy, objective awareness into the feelings, emotions, and behavior of another person.
And he said, and it's objective awareness, meaning I don't have an opinion about it, but I see their sorrow so I can relate. It's not about me saying, well, that's what they get. Or injecting my thought process and saying, you know what, better him than me. Or, you know what, 2 tears in a bucket.
Yeah.
Get up off the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's somebody, it's without your necessary point of view or opinion. It's the fact that somebody's suffering and you could relate to somebody in their suffering. It's a compatibleness I could reflect myself and mirror that person's pain, and because I can see what they're going through, because I can pay attention to them.
Even though I'm not suffering at the moment.
Even though I'm not suffering at the moment. That's what makes it objective. What you got, Mawala?
Which this day have saved thy life.
It said we risked our life, we saved your life. Read on.
And the lives of thy sons and of thy daughters, and the lives of thy wives, and the lives of thy concubines.
What he's saying is none of y'all would be here if it wasn't for us. None of y'all would be alive. So you should be more thanking us than crying for Absalom. You should be rewarding us for our service to you versus crying for Absalom. It's somebody that wants to steer all the attention their way. Read on.
Verse 6. In that thou lovest thine enemies.
It's almost, he said, like you love your enemies. Not thinking about, hey, man, that's still that man's son. Regardless of if his son is against him, that's still his blood. That's still his child. Read on.
And hatest thy friends. For thou hast declared this day that thou regardest neither princes nor servants. For this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived and all we had died this day, then it had pleased thee well.
You would have been better off if we would have died.
That's crazy.
Man, when we look at this man's mentality, when we look at this man's thought process, you can see how just cold-natured he is when it comes to anybody else's suffering. He just cannot sympathize and show empathy regarding anybody else's suffering outside of himself. Right? So, we're going to go to Ecclesiastes chapter 33, verse 22. And then, before we go there, I got it up on the screen. I'm Salakia. Somebody else give me 1 Kings 2 and 6 before we go there.
I'm already on.
You already on it? Read that one more time.
1 Kings chapter 2, verse 6. Do therefore according to thy wisdom.
Go ahead.
And let not his whore head go down to the grave in peace.
H-O-A-R. That whore head is gray or white hair. Just gray-headed, white hair, frosty hair. He said, don't let his gray hair go down to what?
Says, go down to the grave in peace.
Why would David mention that? Because naturally, you would want to have sympathy on the old age. Naturally, you would want to respect your elders. You would want to say, okay, well, this person has years and a multitude of years on them. So let me respect them for their age's sake. So, this person is, they're on their way out. So let me not make his life any more troublesome than what it is. But David said, since this man didn't have any sympathy, don't have any sympathy on his age.
Wow.
Don't regard the fact that he's an older man. Pay no attention to that. He said, don't let his hoary head what?
Says, let not his whore head go down to the grave in peace.
Go ahead. It said in peace because he wasn't a man of peace.
So there was a cost over time down the line, a long-term cost for that cold nature that the Most High allowed.
Absolutely.
It came at an expense in his own mercy. Absolutely.
It backfired on him in the end. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 31 and 32.
Proverbs chapter 16.
And that's a very big point, is the fact that, you may feel like I can behave to people however I want with no regard. But the Most High can call you in for those sins at any point in time, or those mistakes. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 31.
Proverbs chapter 16, verse 31. It says, the hoary head is a crown of glory.
The gray head is a crown of glory. Read on.
If it be found in the way of righteousness.
Just like they say Black Lives Matter, gray hairs matter too. Gray hair matters.
Yes.
Gray hair does matter. But it only matters if it's what?
If it is to be found in the way of righteousness.
If it's righteous. So gray head don't matter if it's wicked gray head.
That's a major point though.
It doesn't matter.
It's a major point.
Or respect me because I'm your elder because I'm gray. No. If the righteousness is not acquainted with the grays, then it doesn't matter. Read.
Verse 32. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty.
All right, so we understand that, you know what, David is like, listen, don't worry about that gray hair that Joab has. He has to pay for what he's done, right? So let's get Ecclesiastes 33 and 22 now.
Ecclesiastes chapter 33 and verse 22. Page 90.
If needed.
Yeah, in a second.
needed,
In a second, yeah. Read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 33 and verse 22. It says, in all thy works, keep to thyself the preeminence.
I don't want to so much focus on this first part, but I do want to focus on the second part of this verse. Read on.
It says, leave not a stain.
He said what?
It says, leave not a stain.
Leave not a what?
Leave not a stain.
Where?
In thine honor.
On your name. Don't leave a stain on your name. How can you stain your name?
By not having no sympathy.
Yeah. Through your
Not sitting back here and being not having that empathy of trying to like relate to that person and just being cold-hearted.
Yeah, he said leave not a what?
Leave not, it says, leave not a stain in thine honor.
He said leave not a stain in their honor, right? So you through your behavior or your speech could leave a stain behind your name to where your reputation is marred and scarred. And the Most High looks at this. Why and how did Joab stain his honor? We think of a stain, you think of a stain like what? Something that's stubborn. Mm-hmm. People associate with stains with stubbornness.
Yeah.
It's the fact that the stain don't want to come out. But what was Joab's stain? Let's go back to 1 Kings chapter 2 and read verse 5.
1 Kings 2 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
Moreover, thou knowest also that Joab, the son of Zeruiah, did to me.
Go ahead.
And what he did to the two captains of the host of Israel, unto Abner, the son of Ner.
Go ahead.
And unto Amasa, the son of Jether.
Amasa.
Whom he slew.
Go ahead.
And shed the blood of war in peace.
So he was out of season with his wrath. Mm. He shed the blood of war during the peacetime, but it goes a step further than that. Read on.
And put the blood of war upon his girdle that was about his loins, and in his shoes that were on his feet.
Not only did he slay these men during the peacetime, when David was trying to have peace treaties with them, but he would frequently wear the same clothes that he killed those two men in.
What?
That's horrible.
He would walk around on a regular basis wearing the blood-stained girdle.
His war garment.
And the blood-stained shoes.
That's kind of crazy.
What do you call that for somebody that actually killed somebody in a wrong season? It's a time for peace, it's a time for war, like we read in Ecclesiastes. But not only that, but he walks around in those clothes.
Which is
the modern term for it is trolling. They call it rage bait. It's called that term is rage bait. Rage bait is when you do something to offend people, but you do it in a manner that you're doing it to bait them to come to you, so it justifies what you want to do.
Fifth rim out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you're wearing this shirt to. It's like going to a party, and you're wearing a shirt that like you go to a party that says like everybody's like for a person birthday person, and your shirt says birthdays suck. They don't matter. It's just you're coming to an environment and you're being contrary. We come to class with a little hamako, like it's
an attention-seeking move.
yes.
That's funny.
But to provoke a bad reaction.
But who would do that? Who would kill a man during peacetime and then wear the same shoes with the blood stain still on them?
A sociopath.
Come on, man. And then the shirt, the girdle with the blood stain still on it. You walking around with it. So go, read this right here for me, right here. Read that underlined part right here. This is follow page 277.
Follow page 277. For audacity.
It says for audacity. Go ahead.
Belongs to the character.
It says audacity is associated and belongs to the character of what?
Of an arrogant man.
It says so we understand that who would have this level of audaciousness?
Arrogant man.
An arrogant man does. Hey, how prideful and shameless must you be to walk around like that?
Yeah.
So it's showing you the things that could put a stain on your honor are not just the physical stains that we're talking about in Joab, but the actual fact that when it comes to your character, your arrogance is brutish. Your arrogance and the nature, your character shows audacity or boldness. Yes, sir.
I had a question. When you bring out stain, can a stain also be associated? You said it was stubborn. Can a stain also be associated or known to be with as carelessness?
Yeah, it can be.
Because that's how the stain gets there, through carelessness.
But not all the time. But it's not just carelessness, but it's boldness.
Yeah.
In this case, this man is bold. This man is shameless.
Yeah. It's better word. Shameless.
This man is shameless. He's bold. It says for what?
For audacity belongs to the character of the arrogant man.
Go ahead.
But good confidence.
It says, but what?
Good confidence.
Go ahead.
Belongs to the friend.
It says, but good confidence belongs to who?
The friend.
Get that definition of confidence. It says, but good confidence belongs to who?
Confidence. 1828 Webster's Dictionary. It says, a trusting or reliance.
So, key word right here is what? Trust or reliance. What's the second definition?
It says, trust, reliance.
What's the third definition?
It says, that in which trust is placed.
What are we finding out here?
Trust.
Confidence is what?
Trust.
It's trust. Why didn't David trust Joab?
Because he wasn't confident.
Nope. But why? We just read it. Read it again, David.
But good confidence belongs.
No, read it from the top.
For audacity belongs.
Why didn't David trust Joab? Because he has the audacity that this man possesses. This man holds an arrogance about him. His nature is arrogance. And non-empathetic, non-sympathetic. So the point of last week was just to show that when you have arrogance, or if you have the lack of empathy, you have a problem building trust. People don't trust you because you're not sincere and empathetic to them. So if you want to build trust with people, then you have to be able to relate to their pain and see their pain and be one with their pain. This is how people start to trust you. That was the summary of last week, pretty much. Yes, sir.
Now, I just wanted to pull this definition of audacity. It says, in a bad sense, it says impudence in a bad sense, implying a contempt of law or moral restraint. And the reason why I thought that was interesting is, there's no law in the scriptures. Well, there might be, but not that I know of. Where it says you can't wear the blood of your enemies on your shoes. I mean, it's unclean. But there are certain things he was doing that he tried to justify as being okay or right. But in a moral sense or in a social sense, it wasn't acceptable. Like, why are you flexing this victory that you know is controversial? You know, there's some people that don't think this is a right move you made, and you're gonna constantly put it out there like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm operating. But people do it all the time, even in social senses. You'll sit here and stand on certain principles, or have certain opinions, or have certain perspectives on life, and you boast about it and you're bold about it, or you have certain prides about you that you know is not
Contrary.
social. It's contrary. It's not socially acceptable.
abrasive.
It's abrasive. It's offensive.
Awkward, yeah.
Whether it be biblically offensive or just socially, morally offensive. Like, why are you growing in the spirit? And it was interesting. Like that audacity, we see it in so many different forms.
Right. And the key word that you read, yes, sir, my Waller.
Now, I was gonna say, is that behavior connected to how, like, people in the world, when they quote unquote catch a body, they
Smoke
clown
on
or
a pack.
they make fun of these people that
It's
they
rage
killed.
baiting people, huh?
They make fun of these people that they killed,
They rap about it.
and they
put it in their lyrics.
Yeah.
Nigga, videos,
There was a cat that was he was an honor student. He was like the number one student in his high school, and he dropped a diss song about whacking his ops. And the next day, right after graduation, he was murdered at.
Talking about the dude that played golf,
Yeah,
basketball in Philly.
exactly.
Light-skinned dude.
He's a
Yeah,
light-skinned
played ball in
dude. He was a dope basketball player. He was getting contract
He's about to get
scholarships to D1 universities, and dropped a music video out talking about how I don't know if he killed somebody or he was threatening to kill somebody, and they got him out.
Well, it's first of all, on the first point that you mentioned about Joab walking around with blood-stained clothes, it's different because David himself walked around with what's his name, head. When he cut off Goliath's head,
Yeah.
he walked around for days with that head
He did do that.
with like a badge, like a trophy.
Yeah,
But that was a nation.
yeah.
That wasn't his people.
Yeah.
It's different when you
Not celebrating his victory.
Yeah,
For the nation.
That's for the nation, but that was for the nation, and that was a nation. That was a Gentile. That was a heathen. But it's different when it's your people.
Wow.
That blood you got on you.
In a time of peace.
In a time of peace. And then, as far as what you're saying, as far as the definition that you pull, read that definition you got one more time.
It says,
audacity.
It says impudence in a bad sense.
It says impudence in a bad sense. Why is impudence in a bad sense? Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 26, verse 11. It says impudence in a bad sense because there's a good boldness that's confidence. Then there's a boldness that's arrogance.
Out there.
Right. So he's saying it's in a bad sense. Go ahead.
Implying a contempt of law.
It's a contempt of law, rules, order.
Lack of respect.
I'm more likely to get out of order, and I don't have a problem getting out of order.
I have no problem.
Yeah.
So read that Ecclesiastes 26 and 11.
Come. Ecclesiasticus chapter 26, verse 11 reads, "Watch over an impudent eye."
Or we could say, watch over an audacious eye. An eye that's full of audacity.
This kind of perspective.
Yes. Because this can exist in both male and female forms.
Wow.
You could have a man that has the propensity of always straddling the fence with law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can have a woman that's pushing the envelope and straddling the fence and seeing how far she can push it when it comes to her being in order or having to follow.
Wow.
Or when it comes to listening or taking orders or instructions.
Or dress code.
Or abiding by rules.
Yeah.
I'm going to push the limits as far as I can go.
Yeah.
When you got men or women that push limits, because really what you're dealing with is an audacious spirit. You're dealing with a bold, impudent spirit because they have no regard for law. They have no regard for rules. So they always question laws and rules.
Yep.
They straddle the fence. How far can I push it? Why are you trying to push it? Because you're bold. Yeah. And when you have this kind of spirit of audacity present in a male or female form, read on.
Come, watch over an impudent eye.
You better pay attention to somebody that's not somebody that they've earned your trust. That's somebody you gotta watch like a hawk.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of trust. You gotta be skeptical with this individual.
Wow.
You gotta take this individual with a grain of salt because they're always flirting with rules. They're always flirting with getting out of order or receiving instruction.
Line stepping.
Or the habitual line steppers.
Yep.
Like Charlie Murphy said.
Yeah.
So
That was a bold man.
So this is what you got to watch out for. You don't trust an individual that has the propensity to just kind of push the limits when it comes to being in order. Well, nobody actually said don't go. Well, I didn't see a law. I didn't see a law. I didn't see nothing wrong with it. Man, you didn't even. But when you got this kind of individual, he said you don't trust this individual. You watch over this individual. Read on.
Come, watch over an impudent eye and marvel not.
It said, and don't be surprised when what?
If she trespass against thee.
When the offenses are right around the corner. When you got somebody that carries an audacious nature or bold, impudent nature, it's only a matter of time before they trespass. It's only a matter of time before they get out of order. It's only a matter of time before they violate. Those are the individuals that you got to watch out for, male and female, because they push limitations. They straddle the fence when it comes to being appropriate or being in order or following rules. They always gotta go an extra mile just to see how far I can go and get away with what I'm trying to do.
How far can I take this?
How far can I take it? So when we're dealing with that audacity, he says you got to watch out for those individuals. You got to be mindful of those individuals, and then don't be surprised if it happens. If you get, stabbed in the back,
Yeah.
or if you get betrayed, don't be surprised.
Would you say that David was not surprised? Oh, not really not surprised, but more just he kind of expected it of Joab's nature.
I say David tolerated it.
Okay.
I would say David tolerated it but David tolerated Joab, but he knew that Solomon couldn't tolerate him.
Wow.
That's why he told Solomon, regardless of his age, beware. Don't let this man's gray hair go down to the grave in peace. Because he's also talking about who to associate with. Yes, sis.
I was just thinking about what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
That David tolerated Joab. He knew what his intentions were. He knew his character. He knew
Yes.
He knew he had to stay on it. And how he and because of his behavior, I wouldn't think he would think that Joab would do to Absalom was dead. Because of that he did take it to the next level, right?
Yeah. You know what? He couldn't put his trust in Joab's character dealing with Solomon. Because there ain't no telling what this man would do. Look at what he's done already. Why would you pass that down to the next kingship? Somebody that was risky like that. Now, he's good in war. I mean, you don't have
No complaints.
that guy's ambition is unmatched.
Yeah.
His ambition is unmatched. You need a guy that will run through an army with no questions asked and want to receive all the glory. That guy that ambition is necessary. They call it a dog. He got that dog in him.
Yeah, he got that dog.
He got that dog in him. Yeah, Joab had the dog in him.
He got the dog all day.
Yeah, they would love that in the football field.
Oh yeah.
They love that in the boxing ring.
Yeah.
But in a time of peace, you don't need that dog in a time of peace.
Nah.
You need a delegate.
Put the cage up. Put the cage up.
You need a delegate. You need somebody that can speak and not offend.
Be appropriate in circumstances.
Yeah. You need a diplomat at that point, not a brute. But there's a time when the brute is necessary.
Yeah.
It's time when the brute is needed. When it's battle time, when it's war time, man, he's right on time. Because he will not lose. And he don't like, and he has no problem hurting anybody.
And the arrogance is necessary on the battlefield.
It is very necessary. So that basically, in summary, that's what last week was about. So we're going to move on from last week and finish on in where we are in 1 Kings chapter 2 and read verse 7. So as we're examining who David is telling, he's giving Solomon a set of instructions. But what is he basing the instructions on how to deal with these individuals? It's based upon what? Trust. And how do you gain trust? Empathy. And so the what David is establishing here with Solomon is he gave him a hit list, knock these men off, but preserve these men. But it was based upon the treatment that he received from those said individuals. All right? So let's go to 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 7.
1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 7. But show kindness unto the sons of Barzillai, the Gileadite, and let them be of those that eat at thy table. For so they came to me when I fled because of Absalom, thy brother.
So now he said, take out Joab, but preserve who?
Says
The nation.
Barzillai, right? However you pronounce his name, Barzillai. He said, preserve him because he did what?
says
So they can't.
when he fled.
So they can.
Verse 7, one more time.
Con. First Kings chapter 2 verse 7. But show kindness unto the sons of Barzillai.
He said, show kindness to the sons of Barzillai. Why? Read on.
Gilead.
The Gileadite, and let them be of those that eat at thy table.
Go ahead.
For so they came to me when I fled because of Absalom, thy brother.
Now, the title of the class, this is part 2. The title of the class is called The Trust That Makes Things Permanent, right? Because if you're going to build something permanent, you have to build trust. And the way you build trust is through empathy and sympathy, right? Having a heart for somebody. That's how you build more trust. But you build skepticism with individuals that you can't trust, or that's cold-natured or, calloused, so to speak. So he's saying, show kindness to these individuals. What this shows about David is in 1 Samuel chapter 13, read verse 14.
1 Samuel chapter 13, verse 14. Let me read it.
Go ahead.
1 Samuel chapter 13, verse 14. But now thy kingdom shall not continue. The Most High hath sought him a man after his own heart. And the Most High hath commanded him to be captain over his people.
So we know one thing about David. David, the Most High said, is a man that what?
Man after his own heart.
So how does that look when a man has the Most High's heart? How does that look? Based on in reference to what we're reading, what does that look like? Go to Hebrews chapter 6, verse 10.
Hebrews 6 and 10. Ready? Hebrews chapter 6, verse 10.
Yes, sir.
For the Most High is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love.
So if David has the mind of the Most High, so the Most High is not unrighteous to do what?
Forget your work and labor of love.
That means David will not do what?
Forget your work and labor of love.
Just like the Most High don't forget all the work that you put in, that you do, the labor that you do, he doesn't forget it. It counts, it adds up. David also, being a man after the Most High's heart, the reason why he's telling Solomon to preserve Barzillai is because he didn't forget his good works. And this is how you build permanent relationships. You don't forget the people that's been in your corner. You don't forget the people that's been behind you. You don't forget the people that's been assisting you. That's how you know David is just like the Most High. Because they don't forget good deeds. They don't just look at the negative in people. They don't just look at what people do wrong. It's easy always to look at a person and say, man, I could see this person, and this person's always doing this wrong. They're always making a mistake. They're always messing up. But what have they done good? Can you bring out some top 3, top 5 things that they've done that stood out to you in a time of need? Because you got to be able to recall that, because that's the mind of the Most High. The Most High don't forget any good deeds either. Just like David is saying, listen, don't forget the sons of Barzillai. They were good to me. That's an aspect of the divine nature, of the Most High's nature. That's a godly nature. To when you don't forget about people that's been there for you in a corner, when you was in a pinch, when your back was against the wall. And you don't forget that. That's not a light thing to just forget people that's been there helping you and aiding you in your struggles. That's a sense of godliness that David has that's just like the Most High. Read on.
God, middle of 10, which ye have showed toward his name.
Go ahead.
His name, in that ye have ministered to the saints.
And you know what the Most High does? Everything that you do for the saints, is it in vain?
No.
No. If you were sincere in your servitude to the saints, to minister means to serve. So if you were sincere in your servitude to the Most High, to the saints, then it adds up points with the Most High. It stacks up. It has meaning. It accumulates treasure in heaven. And it's not forgotten for the things that you do for the saints. That's why you know David is a man after the Most High's heart, because he don't forget. But we forget. We forget when people actually stuck their neck out for us, because we almost expect it. We expect it from them. They should have did it anyway. They should have took care of me anyway, just because I asked. Because I would have did it for them, just because. They better do it. They better treat me right. No, man. We forget the good deeds that people have done for us. And that's not a sign of the Most High, man.
We desire that every one of you do show the same diligence.
And you also should be able to not forget those that have done good things to you. Just like the Most High don't forget. Just like David don't forget. That's how you build relationships. Topic of the class, once again, is the trust that makes things permanent. When you try to build something permanent, then don't be so forgetful when things have been right or good to you that other people have done, but you're short-sighted when it comes to now it's time to be thankful or appreciative of these individuals. Read on.
God, middle of 11.
Mm-hmm.
To the full assurance of hope unto the end.
Go ahead.
That ye be not slothful.
So it's because some people are slothful. Some people just quick, they're slothful. They be like, I needed help. They came through for me. But when it comes to appreciate these individuals, I'll get around to thanking them. I'll get around to recovering them, paying them back. I'll get around to it. I'll hook them up later on. I'll wait till I get on my feet. Man, if you could appreciate... Oh, it's tech issues. We got some tech issues. Okay, so the sound is going out. Okay, so we're gonna hold. Can you hear now? Audio keeps going in and out. All right, so we're gonna just I'm not gonna hit the table. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave the damn table alone, because the audio was probably also on this camera. So what we're looking at is, don't be so forgetful for the things that people have done for you. The Most High is not like that, and David is not like that. He said, I hope that you all be this way. That's what Paul is saying. Read on.
Verse 12. That ye be not slothful, but followers of them who through faith and patience inherit the promises.
Just like David didn't forget all the good deeds that was done to him in a pinch, we should neither. We should be able to recall all the individuals that looked out for us. Okay, some people are saying it's still in and out. So I'm not sure exactly where the difficulty is coming from. I'm not going to turn off the computer because I don't want it. You know what? You can still hear? Okay, cool. Still in and out. All right. Well, it may go in and out. So we're going to do some sign language. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do no sign language. But
Gonna put the port in up?
well, you know what?
That
I
might
think
work.
you know what? It's going to black out just for a minute, but I'm going to plug it back up. Let's see if this is the issue.
It might be powerful.
All right. So let's see if this comes back on. All right. So let's see if this makes a difference on the sound. All right. Does that make a difference on the sound? I know we black.
I can hear you. There hasn't been a break.
Okay, what's on their end? There's a break. Okay, it's fine. Okay, okay. We got some people saying they can hear. Some people say it can't. It's all good. If you can, hopefully, we just unplugged on our side and plugged back in. It seems like a better, more solid connection. Let's keep going. So let that go. We're in Hebrews chapter 6, verse 10, right? Verse 12?
Verse 12 now, yes, sir.
All right, give me 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 9.
Are you done with that?
Yeah, I'm done with that. Give me 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 9.
I didn't hear. It's fine on my phone.
Yeah, some say it's going in and out. I'm not going to talk too loud because I know that microphone. Okay. I'll say somebody said it's still going in and out on their end, unfortunately. You might want to turn it off and turn it back on and see if that makes a difference. All right. It might be YouTube. It might be our Wi-Fi. We might have too many things connected on the Wi-Fi. Let me make sure. Cut off your Wi-Fi if you're connected to the Wi-Fi here, which you shouldn't be. But if you are, take it off. Turn it off so we can make sure that we got some good communication going. We're going to 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 9.
Okay. 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 9. The Most High knoweth how to deliver the godly.
It said the Most High knows how to what?
Deliver the godly out of temptation.
The Most High knows how to deliver the godly out of temptation. What else?
And to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished.
So doesn't that sound, if the David is like the man of the Most High's heart, doesn't that sound like David's instruction to Solomon? Didn't he say preserve these individuals? Spare these individuals? But eliminate these individuals? So he's just like the Most High. He knows how the Most High thinks. What he's eliminating is bad influence versus good influence. Yes, sir.
Give me Psalms 18, verse 24 through 27. This is going into.
Then let Delhi get the verse he had and then read that because he had the verse that was tied right into that.
Okay.
So then get the one you had on that point.
Yeah. Let's get Psalms
And then-
chapter 18.
And then after this, you
You're
get this
18?
one.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Y'all read the same one?
Come on, man.
Y'all read the same one, man?
It's the same. What
I
you
want
got?
24 to 26.
That's the same one.
Come on, man. Go ahead and read that. He called it.
We'll share it.
I didn't hear it though. I
Then you read two, then you read two. Then get.
Psalms chapter 18, verse 24.
Psalms 18 24. Therefore hath the Lord recompensed me according to my righteousness.
So once again, the Most High will recompense. What does recompense mean, class? To give back reward at a later date. I'm recompensing you. I'm paying you back. I'm giving you back a just reward. Correct?
Yeah.
So read it again.
Says Psalms 18 and 24. Therefore hath the Lord recompensed me according to my righteousness.
But when he recompenses us, it's based off of what posture we're taking with people. It's the posture we take with people. According to my righteousness with people or my unrighteousness with people. Read.
According to the cleanness of my hands.
Key point where?
In my hand, of my hands.
In what?
In his eyesight.
Based on he's looking at my actions, he's looking how I deal with people, and then there's a recompense or a payback, good or bad, based off of how I deal with people. Read.
25. With the merciful, thou wilt show thyself merciful.
So what's that saying, Elisha?
Shoot. If you're merciful and you have a habit of being considerate, of considering others, it's like what you're known for, right? Your honor. If you're known always for the person that was considering others, giving your last to somebody else, always looking out for the betterment of the next man.
Delicate with people.
Delicate, softer,
Yeah.
Understanding, more compassionate. When it's time for you to hit rock bottom, which we all hit rock bottom at one point or other, people are going to remember those good times. Or they're going to remember what they've heard about you. Because not only people consider what you've done to them, but also what they've heard about you.
True.
What have I heard about this person's character? What have I heard about how he operates with other people? This person, I've always heard good reports. He's always been told this guy's a very compassionate, loving, honest dude. Let me hook him up. Just because I trust in the reports on him. That matters. Because that's what it's saying is the Most High is recompensing your works when it's time for you to get it. When you need it at the most time, at the gravest time, say like that.
Come. Read on.
Come. Psalms 18 and 25.
Just read on the scripture. The half point.
Come. With an upright man, thou wilt show thyself upright.
So with merciful men, I'll show myself merciful. With upright men, I'll show myself upright. Read on.
With the pure, thou wilt show thyself pure.
With pure men,
Yep.
he'll show himself what?
Pure.
Read on.
And with the froward, thou wilt show thyself froward.
With forward men, difficult men, Most High will show himself what?
Forward.
Forward. So he's going to be a mirror
Yeah.
to your character.
That
Whatever your character is with people,
Yeah.
he's going to create a mirror effect.
And it's on that point because that's what what's his name? Joab was forward. Forward by definition means ungovernable. Because if it was against Joab's plan or against Joab's agenda, what was he doing? He was finding his way to get what he wanted. As long as he agreed with you, he'll follow. He'll go to war. If he wanted to take out those people, he'll take out those people. If he wanted to go to war, he's going to war. If he wanted to spare this person's life, he was going to spare his life. But if he didn't agree, he was going to find his way to be ungovernable and not willing to obey.
And who was also like that in the scriptures?
Slide.
King Saul.
Exactly. You're right.
King Saul would listen when
Yeah.
it made sense to him.
Okay.
But when it didn't make sense to him, he of course didn't what?
He didn't do it.
If it was to his benefit, King Saul obeyed the prophet. If it was not to his benefit, he did not obey the prophet.
So you're saying David saw this spirit multiple times in his life?
Listen,
Yeah, it was more than once where he was able to witness the nature of men.
That's crazy.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 22 verse 23.
That's crazy. I was thinking about that too. It was like Saul. Had a sense. Just without the power.
You said 33:22?
Mm-hmm.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 23.
22 verse 23.
Okay.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 23.
22 verse 23. 22 verse 23.
Okay, guys. Okay, Ecclesiasticus chapter 22, verse 23 reads, "Be faithful to thy neighbor in his poverty."
No, read it one more time.
Be faithful to thy neighbor in his poverty.
And his poverty. So he's saying that when your neighbor is down, you're supposed to be what to him?
Be faithful.
You're supposed to be faithful to your neighbor when they're low, when they're in a low point, they're in a low condition. He says, "Be faithful to that neighbor in his poverty." David's poverty allowed him to see who was really with him in his corner.
Right.
David's poverty let him know who actually cared about him.
Yeah.
Because Barzillai was one that came to him in the midst of his struggle. So his poverty was able to reveal the nature of the people around him.
wow.
Read.
Come. It says, "Be faithful to thy neighbor in his poverty, that thou mayest rejoice in his prosperity."
It says, because when he's prosperous, he going to take care of you. He's going to look out for you when he's up. Read on.
Come. Abide steadfast unto him in the time of his trouble.
Do you abandon the people that's been there for you in the time of trouble? Do you leave the people that's been struggling with you from the beginning, your supposed day ones? Do you leave them hanging? Do you become forgetful all of a sudden when people bailed you out of trouble and they're in trouble? No. Read on.
Come. That thou mayest be heir with him in his heritage.
Go ahead.
For a mean estate is not always to be content.
It says a low point is not always, just because you're poor, is not always a bad thing. Being without or struggling isn't always a bad condition. Because within the poverty, within the bad condition, it reveals the nature of the people around you.
Yeah.
So it manifests the hearts of those around you. So it's not a bad thing. It lets you really see people when you're struggling. It really allows you to see their nature, what they're about. So it's not a bad thing because it lets you see who you got around you, who's with you and who's not. Read on.
Come. Nor the rich that is foolish to be had in admiration.
It says, for a mean estate is not always to be hated or contemned, nor the rich that is foolish to be had in admiration, because his riches are only temporary. You know, a fool and his money shall soon depart. So it's only a temporary condition of joy for that individual. But you get to see something. And through David's poverty, being on the run from Absalom, he got a chance to see the hearts of those around him. And that's a good thing when you do. So being poor, being busted and disgusted, being on your last leg, being on, in a financial crunch or a pinch is not a bad thing. It's not. People complain about it, but they don't understand from what the Most High is trying to get them to see. I'm trying to show you who's with you, who actually cares about you, and who doesn't. So there's more to be learned in the poverty than just the fact that you can't afford the commonality and the essentials that everybody else has. It's not a bad thing. It reveals things from there. Ecclesiastes, when that was in 22. Give me chapter 6, verse 14.
Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verse 14. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verse 14. A faithful friend.
It says what?
A faithful friend.
When you got somebody that's faithful, yes, sis. I'm sorry, you got to speak up just a little bit.
In this case, poor, does it go not just the financial, but like you just lack something that you used to have?
Yeah, poor just means to be without. So it just, the conditions could be varying in the conditions. But it doesn't necessarily just equate money, but it could be whatever struggle that a person is going through, that they're lacking something. They're lacking something essential. All right. Ecclesiastes 6 and 14.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 6, verse 14. A faithful friend is a strong defense.
And if you got a faithful friend, that's a strong what?
Defense.
That's a good defense, man. That's a good aid in the time of trouble. Read on.
It says, and he that hath found such an one.
And if you know you've identified a faithful friend, what do? Read.
Hath found a treasure.
You know you got what?
A treasure.
You know you got a treasure. You got something that's worth keeping. You got something that's worth holding on to. You know, this is somebody that's in your corner. You don't want to let this individual go. This individual has value. This individual has long-standing value that's adding to your life. Read on.
Verse 15. Nothing doth countervail. Nothing doth countervail.
You can't. Countervail just means to exchange.
Shemai.
That it says nothing can what?
Nothing doth countervail.
Countervail just means exchange. So you can't swap out. There's nothing more valuable that's worth swapping out or exchanging than what?
A faithful friend.
There's no exchange for that. You don't want to give that up. Read on.
And his excellency is invaluable.
It says, and his excellency is priceless. It's invaluable. I mean, you can't quantify or measure the price of a person that's been there with you and aided you in your struggle. Those individuals have value in your life. Don't be so quick to forget about those individuals. Read on.
Verse 16. A faithful friend is the medicine of life.
It's healing power when you know you're in a struggle or a pinch and you have an aid or an assistant or one that's empathetic to you in your situation, that's there struggling with you and not abandoning you in the struggle.
Come.
It's good to have these individuals around us. Read on.
And they that fear the Most High.
He says, but this is the only thing though. He says, you set the terms and the conditions of how the people treat you and how the people conduct themselves with you. Based on your fear of what?
And they that fear the Most High
Go ahead.
shall find him.
So if you treat people based on your fear of the Lord, so if you have a high consciousness towards the Father and a high respect for the Most High, you will also have a high respect for who?
Your friend.
Your friend. Those people
Wow.
around you.
So those are connected.
Yes. You set the terms and the conditions of your relationships. I'll say it again. You are responsible for setting the terms and the conditions to your relationships. Because if you have a high consciousness towards the Most High and you have a healthy fear of the Lord, then you will treat people appropriately. But if you have a low esteem for the Most High and you have a disregard for the Father and you really don't fear the Lord too much, you'll treat people like trash.
Wow.
So, when we analyze Joab, did Joab have a high fear of the Lord? Or did he have a low fear of the Lord? He had a low fear of the Most High. Because he was non-sympathetic. He showed no empathy to those around him. But Barzillai, on the other hand, came to David in a time of need. It shows you how he looks at the Most High. We're going to prove it. Read on.
Verse 17. Whoso feareth the Most High
It says, whoso feareth the Most High, read on,
shall direct his friendship aright.
so your friendships are based upon your what?
Your fear of the Most High.
Your fear of the Lord. When you have a low disregard for the Most High, you tend to treat people like crap.
That's crazy, bro.
When you have a low fear of the Lord, that doesn't manifest itself out on the treatment of the people around you. It doesn't. Yes, sir.
That's what I'm saying. Isn't that why the scripture says, "He that despiseth not men, but the Most High"?
Absolutely.
God.
Because my relationships that I have with people around me is all based upon I'll say this: the treatment of the people that I have in relations around me is based upon my fear of the Lord.
Period.
So when I have a low fear of the Lord, guess how those are going to be treated around me? Poorly. And they will be abandoned.
Yeah.
And they will be forgotten.
Yeah.
And their good deeds shall not be remembered. But when I have a high fear of the Lord, it shows itself in my treatment to the people around me. Because I wouldn't disrespect the Most High, so therefore I wouldn't disrespect them. Right?
No.
Solomon said the same thing. Proverbs 27:10. I think the majority of it is Solomon.
Proverbs chapter
But some of it
27,
may
verse
be
10.
David. Like first
Whenever
few
you're ready.
might be David. Read.
Come. Thine own friend and thy father's friend.
He says, your own friend, people that have proven worth, or like a treasure to you in your life, they're worth something in your life. He says, and your father's friends. Didn't Solomon receive instruction from David on who to befriend and who not to befriend?
God.
He says, how do you treat your friends, and what respect do you have for your father's friends? Read.
Forsake not.
He said, don't do what?
Forsake not.
So you don't forsake your friends, neither do you forsake your father's friends. And this is why David is telling, so that's how you know Solomon understood the mission. Because he still is going to take care of Barzillai's sons. And it wasn't going to be forgotten. He said, forsake not. Go ahead.
Neither go into thy brother's house in the day of thy calamity.
He says, because sometimes we think that family is going to take care of us. But there's some individuals that if you treat them right and you have a great healthy relationship and fear of the Lord, they will be just as much of an assistant to you than your own blood and flesh and blood. People think, my family would never treat me like that. My family, you can create relationships. He's showing you the beauty that relationships can be created outside of just who's related to you by blood.
Yeah.
But it's all based upon your fear of the Lord. Because you will get what you give in return. Read.
For better is a neighbor that is near.
Because of a neighbor or a friend that's close could have just as much value, read on,
than a brother far off.
Than a family member far away. He's showing you about relationships. But you can see how people determine and treat their relations around them, but it's all based upon the fear of the Lord, whether they have the fear of the Lord or not. If I don't have the fear of the Lord, I'm liable to cheat on you. If I don't have the fear of the Lord, I'm liable to steal from you. If I don't have the fear of the Lord, I'm liable to commit adultery. If I don't have the fear of the Lord, I'm liable to manipulate you. Why? Why would I do that? All your relationships are based on your fear of the Lord. Whether you have it or not. And that speaks volumes. And it brings itself out and it manifests itself out in your relationships. People can see your fear of the Lord based on your treatment to them. They can witness your fear of the Lord based on your treatment to them. That's how relationships are built. So if you want to build permanent relationships, then it's highly recommended scripturally that you learn to have a healthy fear of the Most High. Otherwise, you're not going to create nothing long term. Everything's going to be about manipulation, gain. I'm a finesse you. I'm going to get over on you. I'm going to get what I need from you and move on to the next individual. I'm going to strike fast and move on. You can't build no long-term relationships like that with that mentality. You do it because you don't fear the Lord. But if you fear the Most High, you would see it. So the question is, how do you increase your fear of the Lord? You have to read. You have to read because when you read, you become more aware of the Most High. When you read the Bible and you study more, you become more aware that the Most High is omnipotent, meaning he's all powerful. You understand that the Most High is omniscient. That means he's all knowing. You know, you also understand he's omnipresent, meaning he's everywhere at once. That means I can't deviate. I can't lie because the Most High is watching me at all times. So the more you study, the more you become aware of that the Most High is watching every damn thing I do. You become more conscious of him, more aware of him. That's how you increase your fear of the Lord. And it will manifest itself out in your relationships. People don't tie the two things together, but they are tied together. The fact that you treat people abrasive and you're disrespectful and you have no regard and order and you're impudent and bold because you really don't fear the Most High. People don't put the two together though. That's why you can be bold, sassy, loudmouth, bickering, argumentative, contentious, full of strife, and debating, and hostile, because you really don't fear the Lord. People don't put the two together. It's a problem. They should. All right? So, let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 17, verse 27.
Right. 2 Samuel chapter 17 and verse 27. It says, and it came to pass when David was come to Mahanaim that Shobi, the son of Nahash of Rabbah of the children of Ammon, and Machir, the son of Amiel of Lodabar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite of Rogelim.
Go ahead.
Brought beds and basins.
So when David was on the run from Absalom, they brought beds, they brought basins, tubs, so they could put water in so they could bathe or wash their hands or have water to drink, pots and pans. He said they brought beds, they brought basins, what else?
And earthen vessels, and wheat and barley,
And they brought food, wheat and barley. What else?
and flour,
And they made sure they had wheat, barley, and flour. What else?
and parched corn.
And they had some roasted corn. We know roasted corn be on point when you throw us. I don't even know why we tripping and acting like roasted corn ain't hitting with some Parmesan cheese on it.
It's always hit.
And some, yeah, with the elote, with the seasoning.
Yeah.
Some people like the mayo on it with,
That's elote.
with the paprika and the chili powder and the damn butter on it.
Oh, you trying to have
Yeah, you know, hey, bro, hey, that be hitting, bro. They be hitting. It be all in your teeth. You still can't stop eating it.
Yes, indeed.
You still ain't gonna stop eating it, bro. It's hitting. So they took care of these men. Read on.
It says, brought beds and basins and earthen vessels, and wheat and barley and flour and parched corn and beans.
Man, they brought beans. They laid out a buffet on these men.
Yeah.
Read.
And lentils.
And you gotta have the lentils, bro. Go ahead.
And parched pulse.
And parched pulse is roasted nuts, roasted legumes. So he's showing you how they made sure that they prepared very well for these men. That's what Barzillai and these other men did. That's why David told Solomon, hey man, don't forget the sons of Barzillai, man. Take care of these men. What mentality did those men have? Hospitality, man. Compassion. Read on.
And honey and butter.
Oh man, come on.
So it tastes extra
There
good.
it is.
Oh yeah, bro.
There it is. There it is right there, bro. You got that perfect sweet and sour blend, bro, going on. He said, add butter. Read.
And sheep.
And they bought them lamb, sheeps, goats. What else?
And cheese of kind.
And cheese of kind, bro.
Let's go.
Come on, bro.
Goat cheese.
Good cheese, bro. Come on, bro. Yeah, you can stretch cheese. You can make cheese. You can make grilled cheese. You can do cheese on everything. Read quesadillas. You can do all that with the parched corn, with the wheat. You make you a flatbread, real flatbread pizza right there. So he's showing you the hospitality that these men possess. Read on.
God. It says, for David and for the people.
He said they thought about David and they thought about the people that was with David. Read on.
To eat. For they said.
Stop. What mind frame were they in? He's telling you what mind frame they're in. The Bible left it in record so you can understand the mind frame of these individuals. He says, and they said what?
It says, for they said, the people is hungry and weary and thirsty.
He says they're hungry. He said, we know the people are weary. They're hungry and they thirsty. They tired, they hungry, and they thirsty. What do you call that? That calls empathy, man.
That's true.
How is David basing his relationships on?
Empathy.
It's all on empathy, man. Those that have empathy towards him and those that didn't. Joab didn't have no damn empathy. He couldn't see outside of himself. He only cared about self. David based his relationships and tied himself together and created bonds with those that knew how to show empathy. Yes, sir.
Basically, considering others above himself.
Exactly. It's Philippians chapter 2.
Yeah.
So he said they're weary, they're tired. What else?
And thirsty.
He said they thirsty. What else?
In the wilderness.
Go ahead.
Right.
They said they're in the wilderness, man. They're in the woods.
Yeah.
Heat, rash, fatigue, cold nights, hot days. He's understanding their condition. That's how he's building this. That's how David is passing down the instructions to Solomon on who to tie himself together with. Look at those who've been empathetic to your condition, to my condition. Those individuals you want to sustain. Hold that. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 31.
Ecclesiastes 3 and 31. Ready?
Yep.
Ecclesiastes 3 and 31. And he that requiteth good turns is.
Let's read it again.
And he that requiteth good turns is. Man, that's,
Good turns is one word.
Yeah, read it all together. Versus stopping.
and he that requiteth good turns is mindful of that which may come hereafter.
Requite means to pay back or recompense. It says, for if you have a mind frame to pay people back that have done you good, he says, you have a knowledge of what? Did y'all catch that? Read it again. I think people might not have picked up on it. Read it again.
Ecclesiastes 3:31. And he that requiteth good turns is mindful of that which may come hereafter.
It says, which may come what?
Hereafter.
So if for people that know how to pay people back for the good deeds that have been done to them and shown to them, they understand what?
They're mindful. They're mindful of the fact that it's always going to come back around.
Yes. They're mindful of the future. They put themselves beyond the fact that I have to lose currently.
Yeah.
They put themselves beyond. This goes further than just what I'm doing for this individual right now. I'm planting a seed that may grow for me later in a good turn for me later. They understand what happens after you do the good. It's not the fact that I'm coming out of pocket and I'm coming up short and trying to help other people. It's the fact that I know that I'm planting something good that's going to grow for me later on down the line.
Yeah.
I know that this matters to the Most High now and later.
Yeah.
And we're gonna show this. Somebody had the hand up. Okay. Yes.
But it also, I'm just asking, it's reaching a little bit. It says, mindful of that which may come hereafter. Is that also talking about the kingdom as well?
Yes, it is. But for now, it's for the fact that they know that I'm building something with these individuals. I'm building something long-standing with these individuals. Because even though, hey, man, I brought the corn, the cheese, the butter, the wheat, the oxen, the sheep. I done bought all these things, the beds, the basins, the earthen vessels. I know I'm not worried about it because I'm doing it off the strength of the need of this person. I'm looking at the needs of this person. I know it'll come back to me. In Esau's terms, they call it pay it forward.
Yeah. That's true.
I'm paying it forward. When you're in Starbucks and somebody buy you a drink in front of you and you get up to the window and they're like, don't worry about it, it's already paid for. Do you drive off or do you pay it forward? It just depends on where you at. Sometimes you just like, amen. Yeah. And then you just drive off. You know what I'm saying? What a blessing. Or do you say, okay, well, since the person in front of me got me, then hey, how much that order for the person behind me? Then? Let's go ahead and square that away then. Or we more like just thank you for the blessing.
Lord.
Sometimes just throw the cup out the window. Just like so they can see it.
Appreciation.
Just appreciate. I see what you did. You know, they might not want the recognition, but I throw the cup out the window sometimes. Just let them know, hey, I appreciate that. Looking out, good looking out. I was struggling. But the point is, if you do good things to those that have been good to you, you understand that it matters later, not just now. And I'm building something with people. I can treat people a certain way because I'm not looking for this relationship as a take. I'm trying to build something permanent, long-standing. I want to build something with people. A lot of us don't know how to build nothing with people. We don't know how to build relationships. Yes. What does it say? To do it. Yes, absolutely. When it's in the power of your hands to do it. Because it's a discretion call at that point. A lot of us make calls like that, man. I'm going to come through for somebody because they came through for me. It's up to you. It's up to your discretion. But if you want to build something with people, then look out for them. Look out for their situation more than yourself. So, he says, what again? Read that one more time.
Ecclesiastes 3:31. And he that requiteth good turns is mindful of that which may come hereafter.
Go ahead.
And when he falleth.
And I know that I'm not always going to have it. I'm not always going to be up. I'm not always going to be in a position to extend. But I know if I help these people now, what's going to happen? If I fail, then what?
And when he falleth, he shall find a stay.
I shall find a stay, meaning I'll have somebody to sustain me. Somebody will sustain me for the good deeds that I do for other people. That good charity or that hospitality will come back and benefit me at a later time and a later date. But you got to be mindful of that when you do good to people, when you treat people right. It just can't be, man, I don't got it right now, man. It's a struggle. Because a lot of what we tell ourselves is I can't be kind to my brothers and sisters. I can't afford it. But it's a mind frame. It's a mind frame. Go to 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 31.
2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 21 reads.
31.
31 reads. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Come. Reads. And Barzillai, the Gilead, came down from Rogelim and went over Jordan with the king to conduct him over Jordan.
Now, this is when David is not hiding anymore. And it's known that David is about to be selected and put up as king over Israel. So he's about to be coordinated as king. So Barzillai is out there with David, assisting him in his journey back to Jerusalem. But he said he's going to cross the Jordan with him. Read on.
Come, verse 32. Now Barzillai was a very aged man.
He said, man, this man was old. Read.
Even 80 years old.
80 is how old?
80.
This man's 80 years old. Read on.
And he had provided the king of sustenance.
He said he provided the king what?
Sustenance.
He said he provided the king sustenance, which is things necessary for life. We read about the things he did. He brought the cheese, the butter, the flour, the wheat, the basins, the beds, corn, all that. So he brought the things necessary for life. Read.
Come. While he lay at Mahanaim, for he was a very great man.
He said, but Barzillai had it. He was a great man, meaning he was wealthy. He was well off. Read on.
Verse 33. And the king said unto Barzillai, come thou over with me, and I will feed thee with me in Jerusalem. And Barzillai said unto the king, how long have I to live?
He said, what?
How long have I to live?
What is Barzillai saying to David right here?
He's saying basically he don't have that much time to live.
I don't got a lot of time, man.
To enjoy what you're trying to give me.
He said, listen, man, I know you're trying to pay me back when I took care of you when you was out there with the men in the wilderness. He said, but I'm an old man. He said, I don't have a lot of time. So what he's conscious of, he's conscious of his mortality. Read.
Come, that I should go up with the king unto Jerusalem? I am this day 80 years old, and can I discern between good and evil?
He said he's losing some of his reasoning, his discernment, his sharpness, his dexterity, mental dexterity, his acumen, his ability to think clearly, rationally, little dementia coming in. So he said, man, I can't discern between good and evil. What else?
Can thy servant taste what I eat what I drink?
He said, man, I can't even taste my food.
Wow.
So I'm losing my senses, my sensibility and my senses. He said, thy servant can't taste. I can't taste what I eat. I can't even, if you even gave me the best wine, I wouldn't even be able to enjoy it. Or the best food, I can't even taste. Read on.
Come. Can I hear any more the voice of singing men and singing women? Wherefore thou should thy servant be yet a burden unto my lord the king?
He said, man, if I go with you to Jerusalem, I will just be a what?
Burden.
He said, I'll just be a burden to you. You know what this is? If you can recognize, this is a great point right here. If you can recognize your own mortality, it will change how you treat people.
Strong.
If you can recognize your own mortality and knowing that you're not going to be around forever either, and knowing that you only have a certain amount of time to treat people right also. You only got a certain amount of time to do right as well. If you can recognize your mortality, it will alter how you deal with the people around you. It should alter how you deal with the people around you.
You ain't got enough time to sustain in this world.
No, you don't.
You're not gonna live that long.
You don't. So you got to put in as many good deeds as possible. But can somebody that's arrogant and prideful acknowledge their mortality? No, they can't.
Wow.
Read this right here.
That's wild.
Follow page 278.
It says, "For I have learnt."
So Follow says, I have learned to do what?
To appreciate.
To appreciate what?
My own nothingness.
He says, I've learned to appreciate the fact that I ain't really nobody, and I'm not going to be here long. I don't have a lot of time. See, some people think I can treat people like crap, and I got time. Time is on my side. No, it's not. Time is not on your side like you think. Time is moving. Time is passing by like this. You only got a certain amount of time to put in some good deeds and emphasize some good treatment to people. We don't got the time that we think we have. See, certain men like Barzillai, he was able to recognize his own mortality and still be able to recompense David good service, good treatment, good hospitality. Some of us don't understand, hey man, we ain't gonna be around forever. We're on the clock. He said what?
For I have learnt to appreciate my own nothingness.
What does it mean? Read.
And to look up to the excessive and unapproachable height of thy munificence.
Munificence means favor that the Most High bestows upon me. He says, because I'm aware of my own nothingness, I am very dependent and conscious of the favor that the Most High has bestowed upon me, that I'm on borrowed time. Remember, the scripture said, he that feareth the Lord shall direct his friendship what? Right. I'll treat people right. So, if you're going to treat people right, you have to diminish and throw away your pride, throw away your arrogance, and develop a fear and a consciousness of the Most High, and realize that you're really on the clock, and you don't got the time you think you have to be treating people with disrespect and with brutality and brutish natures. You don't got the time you think you have. So it's a perspective that some men have and some men don't. Some people have the perspective to be able to say, man, I ain't nobody. It ain't about me. It's not about how I want things and how I want things to be done and how I feel like people better treat me. I better lean on the Most High. Look at his favor, because that's what munificence is favor. Read on.
And whenever I know that I myself am but dust and ashes.
He says, and I constantly remind myself that I am but what?
Dust and ashes.
Man, meaning what? I'm temporary. Each and every one of us on this particular platform, in this earthly terrestrial realm, this flesh don't last forever. And you only got a certain amount of time to do good deeds to those that have been doing good deeds to you. To show kindness to those that have been showing kindness to you. But you can treat people right when you don't think you got all the time in the world. Otherwise, you think you got all day. You can act how you want to act. And there'll be no repercussion. That is not true. You better recognize quickly that you're just but dust and what? Ashes. So I got to treat people right. I got to learn how to talk to people. I got to learn how to behave to people. My character cannot be abrasive to people. I have to know how to entreat people a certain way. Philo said, I learned how to respect the fact that I'm really just dust and ashes. I got to learn how to socialize with people. I don't know how to exist in a social setting. I don't know how to function around my people. Read.
Or even, what is still more worthless, if there is any such thing, then I feel confidence to approach thee.
He says, because I remove my arrogance, my pride, and my opinion, then Philo says he's able to approach the Most High. Because he removed his opinion. If you have an opinion, if you possess that audacity or that impudence, that boldness, he's saying don't approach the Most High. But if you understand that the Most High is listening to those that can discard their opinion and their pride and recognize their own mortality, he says then you should be able to approach the Most High and do what?
Confidence to approach thee. Humbling myself.
And do what?
Humbling myself.
Go ahead.
And casting myself down to the ground.
So then it ain't about me. Too many people treat people like Joab, where it's always about them. You have to learn how to throw away your opinion. And what may be able to help you throw that opinion away is the fact that you're but dust and ashes. That should be able to help you throw away your opinion and thinking that somebody owes you something. Or it has to be your way. Or you have to be always right. And you can't take low. And you can't be humbled. And you can't be told what to do. You can't be instructed. You know?
So completely changed as scarcely to seem to exist.
He said, I make sure that I'm not a bother to the Most High, and I'm not a bother to the people around me. And when I approach the Most High, I remove who the hell I think I am so that the Most High can hear me. See, if you have that consciousness toward the Lord and that sensitivity to Him, you'll also be sensitive to people. They go together. But not everybody can understand that. Barzillai is explaining that he's very aware of his mortality. But he still knows how to treat people right. And we all should be able to. Finish that? Who got it? It is in 2 Samuel.
God. 19, right? Yeah. 1931. Come.
You're like around 35, 36.
Come. 2 Samuel chapter 19 and verse 35 reads, I am this day 80 years old, and can I discern between good and evil? Can thy servant taste what I eat or what I drink? Can I hear any more the voice of singing men and singing women? Wherefore then should thy servant be yet a burden unto my lord the king? Thy servant will go a little way over Jordan with the king.
He said, I won't go all the way to Jerusalem with you, but I'll go over to Jordan with you. Read on.
And why should the king recompense me with such a reward?
He said, why the king should pay me back, man? I'm old. I ain't nobody. I can't enjoy what you're going to give me anyway.
Surprised he walked that halfway, man.
Yeah, he's an old man. He can't taste. He can't see. Read on.
Come, verse 37. Let thy servant, I pray thee, turn back again, that I may die in my own city, and be buried by the grave of my father and of my mother. But behold, thy servant, Chimham, let him go over with my lord the king, and do to him what should seem good unto thee.
All the good that you want to pay me back, David, he said, give it to my servant Kikham. Give it to him. Let him enjoy it, because I'm not going to be around long enough to reap the benefits of what you have to offer and paying me back. Give it to this man. Treat this man with the same treatment that you were going to give me. Read on.
Verse 38. And the king answered, Chimcham shall go over with me, and I will do to him that which shall seem good unto thee. And whatsoever thou shalt require of me, that will I do for thee. And all the people went over Jordan. And when the king was come over, the king kissed Barzillai and blessed him.
He says the king did what?
It says the king kissed Barzillai and blessed him. And he returned unto his own place.
Why did David kiss Barzillai and bless him? Because he came through in the clutch, man. because this man's empathy towards him in the wilderness
It's phenomenal.
built a long-term relationship even after Barzillai died. Yes. It built loyalty to his family. His treatment towards David in the clutch, on the run, in the wilderness, the way he entertained him and showed him compassion and showered him with sustenance, making sure he was taken care of with the things he needed, that brought a relationship that his sons was able to benefit from. Showing you that that treatment is permanent, even when you're not here. Even when you're no longer here on this plane, what you do now matters in the future to your children. And it passes down to how people are going to deal with them based upon your nature. Based upon your treatment to people. People will either say, man, I know that brother's father, and I know that brother's mother, and off the strength of them and what they've done for me, even if those parents are not here, I'm going to take care of those kids. Yes, sir.
That goes to show us, like, you meet people and they say, oh man, you're so-and-so's son. I know you off the strength of so-and-so. I know how so-and-so was. I know how he was as a man. I'm going to treat you the same way as him, as an extension of him, because that's what they are.
Yeah.
That's all. It's just that.
Absolutely.
It's almost like, this makes me think of like when somebody gets knighted.
Yeah.
When they knight somebody for, giving them honor for their services.
Yeah. But being knighted is a one-time thing, but how you treat people is a long-term thing. People remember that. That goes down to the next generation, and it affects how your generation and your lineage is going to be dealt with, based off the strength of you. Did you leave a stain in your honor, or were you coming through with compassion and extending yourself to the body in a time of need? Showing you how you treat people, it goes way further than what you think. Oh, you'll get over it. Toughen up. You'll get over it. Why are you so sensitive? Stop being weak. You can treat people how you want and be abrasive all you want, but it goes to the future. That treatment carries on down to the next generation. And this is why David is telling Solomon, hey, listen, David is telling Solomon this when David is on his deathbed.
He didn't forget.
He didn't forget Barzillai, who was on his deathbed. Showing you how far empathy travels. When you're able to think outside yourself and look at the struggles of the people around you. Look how far it travels. Yes, sir.
Matthew 7 and verse 16.
Matthew chapter 7, verse 16.
Let me make sure I got the one I'm looking for.
Whatever you're looking for.
Yep.
Matthew chapter 7, verse 16. It says, ye shall know them by their fruits.
And the them is talking about false prophets, but this is talking about people in general also. Look at the chapter, talking about false prophets, but and this is universal wisdom for people in general. You should know them or people by their what?
By their fruits.
A fruit is something that is pollinated, and it's a flower, it's a blossom, and over time it goes from a blossom, and it becomes what? Something people can benefit from, a fruit. It's something that's developed, like a relationship, right? It's a person's actions. Read.
It says, do men gather grapes of thorns?
Now this is based off of what type of men are you? Are you the person that develops grapes of thorns? Like you have something to offer, but what you really have to offer is just really is a thorn. It's like a rose. It's supposed to be. It has the ability to offer something pleasant, but the closer you get, all it does is prick your skin.
Mm-hmm.
Read.
It says, gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles.
Or figs of thistles. Listen, you can benefit from this person. It's beneficial. Or is it the thorn of man? Are you a prick? Or do you have something to give people that they can actually benefit? A thorn is a prick. Are you a prick, or do you have something can you feed someone? Can you satiate someone? Can you benefit someone? Can you feed someone's spirit? Read on.
Verse 17. Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit.
Every good tree, if it's a good tree, it gives you good fruit. And you won't feel the effect of the thorn. A good tree won't give you thorns. Read.
But
Won't prick you.
But a corrupt tree.
But a corrupt, another word for corrupt is negative. A negative tree or man, read,
Bringeth forth evil fruit.
gives you that prick. So you can tell a negative man if he's a prick, or a righteous man if he feeds your spirit. This is the words of Christ speaking. He's telling you how he categorizes men.
Yep.
Going back with Sashawan's point about what type of man we choose to be.
Con. You dictate your relationships based on how your character is. That's why Paul said this, Ephesians chapter 3, verse 14.
God. Ephesians chapter 3, verse 14.
Read that.
For this cause I bow my knees.
That's why Paul said, for this cause I bow my knee. Why does Paul say bow his knee? Read.
I bow my knees unto the Father of our Lord Yahushua,
Read on.
of whom the whole family in heaven and earth is named,
Go ahead.
that he would grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with might by his Spirit in the inner man.
He said that you were strengthened in the what?
To be strengthened with might by his Spirit in the inner man.
So that we have brought the scripture, you know a tree by what?
The fruit is bearing.
So the fruit it bears. So what fruit comes out of your inner man? Do you have empathy? Do you possess sympathy? Do you have virtues? Are you patient? Are you kind? Are you generous? What's going on inside your inner man? What's existing in that inner man? What's inside that inner man? Paul is saying, man, I pray that inner man gets reformed. And that inner man gets anchored. But anchored in what? Read on.
Verse 17. That Yahushua may dwell in your hearts.
It says that you possess Yahushua in your mind. Read on.
By faith.
Go ahead.
That ye, being rooted and grounded in love.
It says you're supposed to be rooted and grounded in what?
In love.
You're supposed to know how to treat people. You know how to love people. The problem is, a lot of our love is equivalent to Joab's love. We're really not empathetic at all. We really have no sympathy for people. Because it's not me. Because I'm not going through it.
Better you than me.
Better you than me, or, hey, I'm blessed. Highly favored. That's not me. I'm not worried about it. So, what he said we're supposed to be grounded in is love. You got to learn how to love people. But a lot of times, our love to people does not have the fear of the Lord in it. And that's the problem. It's not mingled with the fear of the Lord. So that's why we don't know how to love people right. We don't know how to treat people right. So this is David dealing with Shimei, right? I mean with Barzillai. Now go back to 1 Kings chapter 2, give verse 8.
So 1 Kings chapter 2.
Mm-hmm.
2 and 8. Kind of. 1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 8. And behold, thou hast with thee Shimei, the son of Gerah, a Benjamite of Bahurim, which cursed me with a grievous curse in the day when I went to Mahanaim.
Once again, David is basing these relationships to Solomon on whether to terminate them or to preserve them based on what? How they treated him. He said, listen, man, this Benjamin, he did what?
Curse.
He cursed me with what? A grievous curse is provoking or offensive or tending to irritate, like Dawiyah brought out about that being prickly.
Yeah.
Do you tend to irritate people with your character? Does your character tend to be offensive? Or are you provoked? When you talk to people, do you provoke people to arguments or debates or to want to fight? Or do you provoke people to contention?
What's the effect?
Yeah.
I walk in the room. Because you look at chemistry, you put a certain chemical. There's certain chemicals you can't put in water.
Magnesium is one of them.
I saw this girl online, bro, and it was Coca-Cola. And she got a Mentos. And she threw it in there, had a big old can of Coca-Cola. And she threw a Mentos in there. No, you ain't supposed to do that. But she did because she thought it was cute. And I think it blew her hand off or it ripped her skin off. Somebody exploded. And it was a violent explosion.
She had the cap on still?
Yeah, if you put the cap on.
She shook it up.
Yeah, if you put the Mentos in the Coke and then close it and then shake it up.
And she was smiling and laughing.
No, she was pouring that whole pack, like 2 packs in there. It was all coming off the side, and then oh boy was filming. He's like, yeah, well, put the top on and shake it. And she did that, shake it, then she put it down, and before she finished, boom. I mean, I thought she got her.
I thought she died or something. I don't know.
That when she flew back, right?
Listen, bro, it was so
I
bad.
remember that.
It was so
crazy.
It was real
bad.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And it cut off. I don't know. I didn't see the rest.
Yeah, it's cut off. So.
It might have been a reason it cut off.
But her back was turned, like she was holding her hand or something.
Same thing with lithium. People be messing with this lithium, and it's highly reactive in water.
Yeah, sure.
They be taking them batteries apart and throwing water on them, and they just explode and catch fire. You get severe extreme burns. You take a battery, that lithium battery, throw it on a piece of meat, it burns the meat.
Yeah.
Burns a hole in it, but a chemical burn.
Yeah.
So showing you, but people are this way in their character. People are this way in their nature. They're very, they're agitated.
They're corrosive.
They're offensive.
Yeah.
It says, a grievous curse means provoking. People are provoking. They're always like trying to start something. It's like, man, why are you starting something?
I got this blood on my girdle and on my shoes. What you gonna do about it?
Yeah. He says Shimei was this way. This guy was offensive, provoking, or tending to irritate or hurtful. He wasn't rooted in love.
No, he was not.
But it shows in your relationships. It shows. So he said what? Read on.
It says, a Benjamite of Baharim, which cursed me with a grievous curse in the day when I went to Mahanaim.
So let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 5.
You said verse 5 or 10? Verse 5.
2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 5.
Okay. 2 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 5 reads, And when King David came to Baharim, behold, thence came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimei, the son of Jerah. He came forth and cursed still as he came. And he cast stones at David and at all the servants of King David.
Man, he's cussing him. He's cussing him. And he's throwing rocks at him. Read.
Come. And at all the servants of King David, and all the people, and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left. And thus said Shimei, when he cursed, come out, thou bloody man, and thou man of Belial.
He called him a worthless man. Belial means worthless. He said, you worthless piece of crap. He said, come out. Won't you come out? Read on. What you scared of? Read on.
The Lord hath returned upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul in whose stead thou hast reigned.
So this guy is mad and angry because he's a Benjamite. Saul was a Benjamite. He says, the Lord has returned everything you did to Saul back on your own head. This is what you get. So he's agitating and provoking David. Read on.
He's asking for it.
He's asking for it. Read on.
And the Lord have delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom thy son. And behold, thou art taken in thy mischief, because thou art a bloody man.
He said, because you're a bloody man, that's why your own son is trying to kill you. That's why there's been death in your own household.
He misread the situation, though.
Yeah.
He misread. You know what he did? He saw another person suffering with another person's issues. It's easy to make a judgment about another person's issues, but it doesn't mean you understand the condition the person's in. You just currently see where he's at. I see that you're on the low end, and I'm gonna kick you when you're down. And I have an erroneous opinion. I have an error-based opinion about your situation, but I don't really necessarily know really what you're dealing with. I just seem like I'm right because it's easy to see what you're. I'm Captain Obvious.
Yeah.
It's obvious David's in a bad situation, but you're not looking at it the way the Most High looks at it. You're looking at it based off of your flesh, how your flesh perceives it.
Or you're looking at this person based upon what you feel like they deserve.
Yeah.
And what they have coming to them. And it's great that you say that because what we tend to do, go to 2 Chronicles chapter 10, verse 12.
Second Chronicles chapter 10, verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
It says, so Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam on the third day, as the king bade, saying, come again to me on the third day. And the king answered them roughly, and said,
It said the king answered them what?
Roughly.
It said the king answered them roughly. Why would Rehoboam answer them roughly? Read.
And King Rehoboam forsook the counsel of the old men.
He said he was told how to treat people.
Wow.
He was counseled how to talk to people.
Yep.
How many times does that happen where we get counseled on how to establish friendships, relationships, or how to work in a social environment, a social setting, whether it be a brother's house, whether it be in a vehicle, whether it be on a job, whether it be in a school, whether it be outside in public, or whether we're on the premises of a company.
Yeah.
Have we not been counseled on how to talk to people?
God.
Have we not been counseled on what to say to people to get the best out of them?
Yep.
To alter a situation?
To maintain friendships?
To maintain bonds and connections to friendships? Have we not been counseled on this?
Yeah.
He said, but this is the nature of somebody who is abrasive. They can get counsel and still not follow counsel and still be irritable and contentious. And still think that they're justified in their irritation or justified in their contention. But read on.
Verse 13 again. It says, and the king answered them roughly, and King Rehoboam forsook the counsel of the old men, and answered them after the advice of the young men, saying, my father made your yoke heavy, but I will add thereto. My father chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions.
He says, my father chastised you with whips, but I'm going to chastise you with what?
Scorpions. What are you saying?
What is he doing, man?
It's adding fire to blowing the spark. Right?
What is he saying right here? This is somebody that, for one, doesn't really have a fear of the Lord. They've been counseled on how to talk to people to get the best out of people. But they choose what's convenient for them and what they agree with.
True.
And the posture that they take. So they exercise themselves out in a way where they feel like nothing's going to happen to me because I talk to people how I want to talk to people. I deal with people how I want to deal with people.
I got the advantage.
On how I see fit.
Yeah.
I don't gotta follow and trust what you're telling me on how to build relationships and friendships. I say what I want to say, what's amusing to me, what's comfortable to me, and what I get a kick out of.
Yeah.
And you can tell somebody, hey man, that's not appropriate speech. You're not gonna win your brothers like that. Or you're not gonna win sisters like that. Watch what you say. Watch how you say it. Watch what you do. Pay attention to your speech. The way you're looking at the person is wrong. Do we listen to that? Nope. So this individual thinks that he can get away with being impudent and bold and irritable and provoking. Read on.
Verse 15. So the king hearkened not unto the people, for the cause was of the Most High.
So why did the people turn their heart against the king? It says, for this was of who?
The Most High.
So you know what the Most High does? When you don't know how to talk to people, and you think that the way you do things is correct, the Most High makes sure that it blows up in your face. The Most High makes sure that your nature and your character gets exposed. And the things that you want to happen don't happen at all. The Most High, what he does is he steps in and he twists the fate. And he dictates the fate, your fate. Because you think you're going to treat people this way, you get counseled not to treat people this way. So then the Most High said, okay, you're going to do it your way anyway. Then I'm going to take your fate and I'm going to twist it around. Because you don't listen. You think being abrasive, being stubborn, brutish, you think that's the acceptable behavior? The Most High said, no problem. I got something for you. I'm going to change the outcome of your scenarios.
Because you want to flex on people.
Because you like to flex on people.
Because you like to flex. Because you have the flex card. You can pull the card. You can pull. He was the king.
Yep.
He didn't have to do that, but he had the card in his hand. So I'm going to flex unnecessarily on people.
Yep. So the Most High changes the tide of the events. And that's what the Most High does in our life. When you don't take heed and listen to counsel on how to treat people around you the best possible way, the Most High switch everything around and it's not in your favor. You only got a certain amount of time to make adjustments before the Most High starts changing the fate.
That's crazy, bro.
We understand that? Go back to 2 Samuel. Finish that in 2 Samuel chapter 19.
Cover. You mean 16?
Is it 16?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's 16 in verse 9.
2 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 9 reads, Then said Abishai the son of Zeruiah unto the king, Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over, I pray thee, and take off his head. And the king said, What have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah?
Mm-hmm.
So let him curse, because the Lord hath said unto him, Curse David.
David said, you know what? The Most High put it in this man's spirit to treat me this way.
He's aware of the Most High, like you said.
He's very conscious of the Most High. This is how David was able to tolerate people that was anti-him or anti-peace. Or their behavior was inappropriate. He didn't take people personal. The way that he wasn't able to take people personal, the way he was able to not take people personal, was the fact that he said the Most High put this spirit into this individual to treat me like this. So therefore, I'm not going to take it personal. See, you don't have to respond to somebody else's ugliness. You don't have to respond to it. A lot of times what we do is we reactionary. As soon as somebody says something that's abrasive to us, we react, we respond. The Most High is going to deal with that individual anyway. The Most High is going to twist that individual's fate up.
Right.
You really don't have to do anything. So David said, listen, okay, you know what? Don't cut his head off. Let him live. The Most High put that spirit into him. I'm not going to respond to him. Read on.
Come. It says, Curse David, who shall then say, Wherefore hast thou done so? And David said to Abishai and to all his servants, Behold, my son, which came forth of my bowels, seeketh my life. How much
He said, my own son that came out of my own bowels is trying to kill me. Read on.
Come, how much more now may this Benjamite do it? Let him alone and let him curse, for the Lord hath bidden him.
It says, leave that man alone and let him curse. It says, because the Lord had been where?
Hath bidden him.
Has bidden him. So, how would you, when you look at the mind of David and examine how he's dealing with people, and whether he's determining to preserve them or execute them, he's dealing with treatment on how people treated him. But what made David beautiful was that David had the right reason. He was able to equate everything back to the Most High.
Yeah.
When you listen to brothers argue, and you listen to brothers fight, or you listen to sisters argue, and you listen to sisters fight, nobody is ever able to equate the Most High and mingle him into the argument.
Yeah.
Nobody's conscious of the Most High. It says only by pride cometh what?
Contention.
Only by pride cometh contention. Nobody can say, where would the Most High want me at in this situation?
It's never said.
It's never said. It's always about what he said versus what I said. And if he didn't want my reaction, then he shouldn't have said what he said. Or, if he didn't want to see this response. Not many people can look at a scenario and say, man, the Most High, I'm going to put the Most High in here and say, man, he got the spirit on that individual. I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to retaliate. I'm going to let him slide. We don't know how to do that because we don't think the Most High first. That's not the first thing that comes to our mind is the Most High. David had the ability with every disagreement or every issue, conflict that he had with people, he could equate the Most High immediately to the scenario. I'm not going to respond to the Most High's doing. Let the Most High deal with him. Do you find that strange that Christ also had that same ability? When you read 2 Peter, he said, I'm just going to leave it up to him that judgeth righteously. I'm not going to respond. He said when he was reviled, he reviled not again. I'm going to leave it up to the Most High. The greats in the Bible know how to leave an altercation to the Most High and let him dictate the scenario. That can only happen when your mind is right. Let me read this right here. No, yeah, read this from me. This is follow page 394 and read this right here.
For when right reason.
It says when you have the right what?
Reason.
When your reasoning is right. When the way you think is right. When you have appropriate thinking ability. And you can discern a scenario and a conflict very well. When your reason is intact, what happens?
It's powerful.
It's what?
It's powerful.
It's very powerful when you can think clear. And you don't respond to negativity or you don't let people put pressure on you because they're negative. You know how to equate people's agitation. And you don't know how to put it on. It's not pressure. You don't embody the pressure of an adverse spirit.
True.
He said it's powerful. Read on.
In the soul.
Go ahead.
Vain opinion.
It says when you have right reason, when you know how to include the Most High in every conflict, he says vain opinion does what?
Is put down.
It says vain opinions is put what?
Down.
Because what is put in?
Right reason.
Right, the correct way to deal with a person. See, the problem is the reason why there's so many conflicts and debates is because rarely do we include the Most High in our conflicts. We don't see the Most High's perspective at all. All we see is how this person made me feel or my opinion in the situation. I got strong opinions, and I'll be damned if I let this person talk to me this way.
Yeah.
I got strong opinions, and I'll be damned if I let this person get away with this. I'm going to go back and forth with you. I'll be damned. He said, but when the reasoning is right, he says strong opinions are what?
Says it's put down. Vain opinion is put down with the right reason. But when right reason is weak.
But when you're emotional. David wasn't emotional. When getting railed at.
Wow.
When he was getting cussed at.
Crazy, bro.
When he was getting rocks thrown at him. when men was abrasive directly to him, calling him all kind of things, vain and worthless. And that's what you get, that your son is trying to kill you. You deserve it all. Because you're a man of blood. That's why blood is following you. When men is talking reckless. He said he wasn't emotional. He said, but when right reason is weak, it's weak when men don't have a fear of the Lord and when men don't study. What happens?
Vain opinion is strong.
So what are we dealing with contentions?
Vain opinions.
Why do people argue?
Vain opinions.
Vain opinion. Where's the right reason? It's not there. The Most High is not in their mind. The Most High is not in their mind. David had the ability to keep the Most High in his mind in the midst of struggle. He was able to keep his composure. You watch men come unraveled when there's a contention, when there's a debate. Men come completely unraveled, which is a sign that the Most High is nowhere near them. That the Most High is far from them. And that the fear of the Lord don't exist in them. It's not strong enough in them. Because if the fear of the Lord was strong enough in them, they would suppress their vain opinion and hold it in and not explode on people. Finish that?
As long, therefore, as the soul has its own power still safe, and as long as it is not mutilated in any part of it, it may well have confidence to attack and aim its arrows at the pride which resists it.
So it said, if you're strong, if your soul is intact, and if you're grounded in love, you can suppress your own vain opinion.
Wow.
And you can subdue your feelings about people. You can subdue that and not lash out on people, which is a strength. That's a power. To not respond to other people's negativity. This is how you build relationships. It's going to take that ability to build something permanent. All right? Finish that.
It says, and it may indulge in freedom of speech, saying, you shall not be a king. You shall not be a lord either over us.
I know how to subdue my vain opinion and not let my vain opinion have dominance over me and not have control over me.
So it means the opinion is the king of the man.
Yes.
Wow.
I don't have to listen to my opinion. That's all that arguments and contentions be based upon. Vain opinions. Those that are rooted and grounded in love, like Paul said, they know how to subdue their vain opinion. They know how to quench and subdue an argument and a debate. You need this ability to build something permanent. You need this ability. We need this ability. To not just get out of character because somebody is anti-us. And get all emotional and become unraveled. Last verse. Finish that, Mawala.
Time. 2 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 12 reads, it may be that the Lord will look on my affliction, and that the Lord...
It said he's still looking at who?
The Lord.
He's in the midst of this struggle, he's still able to look at the Most High. And say, man, it may be that the Most High did what?
It says, it may be that the Most High will look on my affliction, and that the Lord will requite me good for his cursing this day.
Do we do that in the midst of an argument? No. Not hardly. Rarely do you see two grown men full of pride add the Most High into the equation and say, man, maybe the Most High got this situation like this. Let me take a step back emotionally, put down my vain opinion, and not take this individual personal.
Men don't even say it's a test.
Men don't even say it's a test. I'm being tested. Let's go back to 1 Kings chapter 2. We're going to wrap this up and finish this topic right here. When 1 Kings chapter 2. And we're going to read verse 9.
1 Kings chapter 2, verse 8.
Yep.
And behold, thou hast with thee Semei, the son of Gera, the Benjamite of Bahurim, which cursed me with a grievous curse in the day when I went to Mahanaim. But he came down to meet me at Jordan, and I swear to him by the Most High.
They said this man came down to meet me. Because remember, when you're abrasive to people, the Most High twists the fate around. He changes the conditions where they're not in your favor. This man went from cussing David out to asking for a pardon and to be forgiven for his foolishness. David said, I'm going to let you live. I'm going to let you slide. Because I didn't take it personal. But read on.
Saying, I will not put thee to death with the sword.
He said, I'm not going to kill you with the sword. Read on.
Now therefore, hold him not guiltless.
Now why did David forgive him at the time, in the midst of the battle, in the midst of the argument, in the midst of the debate? Because he understood, man, maybe the Most High is involved in this. And he wants to see how I'm going to respond to it. And maybe I got a blessing on the backside of this contention. Maybe there's a blessing on the backside of this argument. But David still told Solomon what?
He said, now therefore, hold him not guiltless, for thou art a wise man.
He said, because you still got to use wisdom when you're dealing with these individuals that are anti-you, but that you still got to include the fear of the Lord to quench the scenario. But does that mean you still do what? Trust them?
No.
No. Last verse, Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 10.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 10. Okay.
Read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy.
So you can use wisdom. You can include the fear of the Lord. It teaches you how to navigate debates and arguments. But because they're so argumentative and anti-you, and they still are not empathetic in your condition, they still haven't developed what?
Trust.
It's trust. This is what David is basing the instruction to Solomon on. These men you trust, Barzillai you trust, Joab you don't, and Shimei you don't trust. He says never trust what?
Never trust thine enemy.
Read.
For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness.
Iron rusts on the surface first. It rusts on the outside. So some people will clean the outside and say, man, you know what? I've changed.
Yeah.
I'm not the same person. But he said, like iron, do what?
For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness.
Go ahead.
Though he humble himself,
read on,
and go crouching.
Because some men will humble themselves down, and they'll crouch down like they're humble, but they haven't changed their character. They still don't have the fear of the Lord in them.
It's just a cosmetic, expression.
Right.
It's just all it's like how women change makeup.
Yeah.
It's just it's like a behavioral makeup. I'm just changing how I appear to you. I'm changing how I appear to you to manipulate the favor I want anyway.
Am I really empathetic though?
No. I'll give you the face though. Slug.
Yeah.
It's cosmetic though. It's very surface.
It's surface. It's not real. It's not authentic. Men know how to put on a show to seem empathetic, but it's not enough empathy to be believable.
Yeah.
He said it's only surface. Read on.
God, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. Because
you know what? You know what builds trust? People that's truly empathetic and selfless. when they really care about the people around them, and they know how to suppress their own lusts, wants, desires for the sake of somebody else, and it's sincere, when they're completely unselfish, those individuals you can trust. And those that do it in works, not just in word, but in works. They show it in their actions.
The behavior, not necessarily the
words,
the gift of
the speech.
The speech.
No, you got to look at people's actions. You got to look deeper. Read on.
And that yet take heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him.
So, do you trust him? He said, beware him. Beware of him. Read on.
Beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away.
It said, because you wipe a looking glass is a mirror. It says, when you wipe off, you clean a mirror for the purpose of seeing deeper and more clear and apparent and more distinct. If a mirror is hazy or foggy, you got to wipe the surface off, and then everything becomes visible. He said that's how it is with people that are that are aggressive, that are deceptive, or that carry these characteristics like Joab or Shimei. They'll crouch down and beg for forgiveness. He said, but that dirt, he said, you got to look at them a little bit deeper. And that's what Solomon is being told by David, to look at Shimei. Look at him a little bit deeper. I didn't kill him before. I gave him a pardon, but that rust isn't all wiped away. There's still some rust in that man. And when you finish reading the story on that, he gave Shimei an order. He told him, he said, listen, Solomon said when he got in power, he said, I'm going to let you live because my dad let you live. He said, but you bet not. He said, get you a house, build a house, and make your establishment in Jerusalem. He said, but if I hear that you left Jerusalem, I'm going to kill you. And because that rust wasn't all the way out of that man yet, he survived David, but he still disobeyed orders. He still, in the end, disobeyed. It's because men want you to trust them. And they'll say anything to get that trust. But trust is earned. And there's certain quality and characteristics of people that earn trust, that make trust easier to harbor. And that's empathy. That's love. That's compassion. Those individuals stand out above other men. And with that, we're going to finish this point with this, how to build something permanent. He said, never trust them. He said, they're going to be like wiping the looking glass. And what else?
And thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away.
He says, so you gotta look at people very clearly. You gotta look past the surface of people. You gotta look at people. You gotta look at actions. You gotta look at speech. You gotta look at behavior. You gotta look at characteristics. You gotta look at all these things when you deal with people. And then you use wisdom. How am I going to treat them? Based upon my fear of the Lord. Any questions? And with that, we're going to say shalom. We'll see you on Friday. If there's any questions online, it says, I want to know if I can change. Having those qualities and lack of empathy. Most definitely. Really.
We have repentance classes.
Yeah, repentance is good, but go to Ephesians chapter 2. Because really that's Paul dropping the lessons. The question is, I want to know, do you think that they can truly change inside? Yes, of course. Of course a person can change on the inside. Very much so. But a person's change is predicated on something. Go to 2 Corinthians chapter 8. verse 12.
2 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 12. For if there be first a willing mind.
Anybody can change if they first have a what?
A willing mind.
You have to want to change. That's the first thing to change. You have to want to. You want to change anything. You want to change your diet. You want to change your health. You want to change your eating style. I know I've been eating like garbage. I've been eating straight trash in the last about 2 months. I'm not even going to front. Just grease, fried, sweets, sugar cookies, and snacks, and just honey buns and bear claws. And
Honey butter?
man, I've been going crazy, bro. I've been crazy on my diet lately.
Honey buns
No,
crazy.
no sweating, no running, no working out, no nothing, man. No, nothing. Just straight indulgence and whatever cheap and fast. But it said if you're gonna change anything, you gotta first have a what?
A willing mind.
So if you gotta have a willing mind, you gotta want to change. How do you posture your mind to where you submit yourself to change? That's a process. Submitting your mind to change or doing something different that you've grown accustomed to doing and has become habitual, that's very hard to break a routine. That means that when you want to, and this just comes from listening to therapists and counselors who deal with children in school that have difficulties or have handicaps, and they're having trouble keeping up in school. Counselors will say that you have to build scaffolds around them. You have to build systems around them to aid them in their progression. So, such as these systems are, if they're falling behind, these systems are intended to give the student more attention, but in ways that can alter the environment. Like some people, they can't learn if the environment is too loud, if the classroom is too noisy. So this kid may have to have a pair of headphones just for them, when headphones aren't necessarily allowed. But for this particular kid, they may need the headphones to block out the noise and the distraction so they can focus on the work.
Yeah, the noise cancellators.
Right, noise canceling. This is scaffolding. Is when you're building things around people to assist them in their development. Yes, sir.
That's what they do with people that's in special education, and they separate them from like other students that's attending to the classroom, and they work on them directly with their homework.
They may need more one-on-one.
Yeah.
They may need more one-on-one. They may need more time because they're not keeping up. They just need the environment to maybe change. They may need some conditions, like instead of giving them the test that they give everybody else, break the test in 3 sections. Modify the test where it's broken in 3 sections, and where they're not like, okay, I got 1 hour to knock all these 3 sections out of this test. It's too much. I got too much anxiety. So I'm going to go ahead and expand it out, give the kid 2 days, elongate the test, and give them 2 days to reduce the anxiety, to take away the pressure so they can still perform. Though that's called building scaffolds around somebody. So we can all change, but the question is, do you allow people to build scaffolds around you?
True.
Do you allow people to give you advice that's suitable for change? Because if you have teachers around you, if you have counselors around you, which we do, especially in a camp environment, then you should let people build those systems around you to modify you, and you have to be willing to accept the modification. Right. Without your pride being involved, saying, a brother may say, brother, listen, Dawiyat may say, hey, brother, 10 scriptures per man. You may not have the ability to put 10 scriptures together or write them down and give a breakdown of 10 verses. Might be too much for you. So Dawiyat may come back and say, okay, brother, just give me 3 verses and write them down and give me a quick understanding, very brief understanding of the 3 verses of 10. We still got to challenge you. But your pride can't say, well, what do you think, I'm slow? Why are you telling me to only do 3? You giving everybody else 10. Are you saying I can't keep up? Because that's what we be dealing with. We be dealing with when it comes to us trying to build a system that works for men. Men's pride get in the way, and they can't be adjusted to make the change and see the benefit of the adjustment. Because the pride, no different than a person saying, well, you know what, I don't want to be in special needs classes. I don't want to ride the short bus. I don't want to be seen in these other classrooms because people are going to think I'm slow. People are going to think I'm stupid. What are we dealing with? Pride. So that change or the ability to make changes is there, but you got to have a willing mind to hear the adjustments that you need to make. That comes with the changes that you need to make. Because you need people to be honest with you about what you're not good at and what you're not strong at and where you need help at. But a lot of us are so prideful that we can't suffer humiliation by looking slow or looking needy or looking like we need help or looking like we're not smart enough or we're not smart enough like everybody else. If you're bad financially and brothers got to hit you up and ask you for receipts, why get mad that you have to produce receipts? You're mad because other people don't have to produce receipts. Y'all don't ask this brother for receipts. Why y'all asking me for receipts? How come I gotta account for every dollar I spend? Because you're bad with money. So us having you produce receipts helps you keep a working tally of your expenses. You're training yourself. If you can remove the pride out of the way and understand that the lesson involved is to get you to see that you need to learn how to be more accountable to your finances, remove your pride, then you'll learn how to account for everything dollar for dollar. You'll start having a mind frame that's bent on knowing, let me write this down. I spent $365 at the corner store. I put 20 gas in the tank. I put 15 on such and such. I let so-and-so $5. I learned how to record keep. Because if you don't know how to record keep, you really can't manage anything. Management is record keeping. And if you don't know how to keep records, if you don't know how to put everything on paper and have a tally and a list of what you do and why you do it and what you did it with, your money's going to come and go and you're just going to be broke every day, all day, and you're never going to know what the hell happened to your money. And you'll never be able to organize it and make it work for you. You never see the benefit of it because it goes quickly out the hand and you can't account for it. But what do we deal with? Pride. Can we swallow our pride? Because that's only going to determine and dictate how much you change. When somebody tells you, hey, make this adjustment, get your pride out the way. Go ahead and say, okay, you know what? The brother told me, he gave me counsel. He said this will be good for me. If I wash clothes 2 times a week and, I come to his house, a little bit of inconvenience, but it saves money. Well, I don't want to have to be, I ain't trying to inconvenience nobody. I ain't trying to be a burden to nobody. Brother, you was told you need the help. You don't have the money. You're wearing dirty clothes. You got a body odor. These clothes need to be washed. Why don't you just stop wanting to look bad or feel like a burden and follow the instruction? But we look at instruction the wrong way. We look at counsel the wrong way. He said, read the verse again. Let's finish that. Read the verse again.
2 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 12. For if there be first a willing mind.
He says, if there be first a what?
A willing mind.
He said, if there first be a willing mind. And I'm going to say a willing mind. We're going to read one more thing, Dawiyat. I want you to read one more thing. Read this right here. It says right here. if there's any such thing.
Right there.
Yep.
If there is any such thing, then I feel confidence to approach thee.
It says, when I ask the Most High to help me with something, I come with, we read this earlier, but I want to bring a little bit more. Read on.
Humbling myself.
What must you do when you approach the Most High?
Humbling myself.
If you're going to make any kind of changes, you better associate humility with those changes.
Right.
When it said first you got to have a willing mind, you have to be willing to be humble. Because if you're not humble enough, you're not going to change. Because you're not going to do those things necessary to alter yourself and work on that inner man. You're not going to adjust the inner man. Read.
It says, and casting myself down.
It said you gotta humble yourself and cast yourself down. Meaning it can't be your way if you're going to make significant changes. Read on.
To the ground. So completely changed as scarcely to seem to exist.
Read on.
No such
No, it says now.
Now I've begun.
No, now such.
Oh, now such a disposition of the soul.
It says only few men in the Bible had this disposition of the soul. We started last week's class about we're supposed to be examining the dispositions in the soul. We read about Joab and read about Barzillai. We read about Shimei to examine those men's dispositions in their soul, the character of the soul. He says, but it's not many men that have the disposition when they come to the Most High that can throw away their pride and reduce themselves. He says, now, such a disposition, go ahead.
Of the soul, Abraham.
He said, who had it?
Abraham.
He said, Abraham had this disposition. This is what made Abraham a friend of the Most High. Because Abraham had the ability, go to Genesis real quick. Go to Genesis. Give me 18:27. Yeah. He says, for Abraham did what?
The inspector.
He calls him the inspector. Go ahead.
Has deeply engraved on my memory.
Go ahead.
For, says the scripture, Abraham.
Stop. Read that right there.
Genesis 18:27. And Abraham answered and said, behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord.
He said, I've taken it upon me to come to the Lord. This is Abraham talking. He said, when I come to the Most High, read on.
Which am but dust and ashes.
What does he recognize?
Nobody.
I'm a nobody. You can't come to the Most High expecting him to help you and assist you with change, and you're still holding on to your arrogance, your pride, or your thoughts, your vain opinion of yourself. You got to be willing to throw away who you think you are in order to really make some changes. He said, this is who stands out in my memory. Abraham stands out in my memory because he says, I'm not nothing but what?
Dust and ashes.
He says, Abraham, he says, the inspector has deeply what?
Engraved on my memory. For, says the scripture, Abraham came near and said, now I have begun to speak unto the Lord, and I am but dust and ashes.
So if you're going to make changes on any level, on the inner man, you got to remove what?
Pride.
Pride, man. You can make any change you want. You can go to whatever level or whatever height you want to reach or you try to obtain in the spirit. The question is, how humble are you though? Because that will dictate your ascension, is your humility. And with that, we'll say shalom. All right? Let's go ahead and get out real quick. Shalom to water, everybody, for watching online. We'll see you again on Friday. All right, shalom.